We're making a fresh, sweet peach pie today. One of my favorites. These are farm fresh peaches. Got just over 4 pounds, or 10 peaches here. If your peaches aren't very ripe and they're pretty firm, you could get away with peeling them with a potato peeler or a vegetable peeler. So I'm just gonna score them, blanch them in boiling water. Same thing I did for my peach cobbler video. Check out that video if you didn't see it, and then we'll cut these up. After all the peaches have been blanched and peeled, just take my knife, take it open, exposing the pit, and then just slice. Not too thin, not too thick. That's about perfect, and we'll add all that to our bowl. Pull that pit out, same thing. These peaches are perfectly ripe. You don't want them to be too firm. Okay, got all our peaches in a bowl, and we want to draw out some of that moisture, get some of the juice out of the peaches so we don't have a runny pie. So I'm going to take half a teaspoon of salt, half a cup of sugar, a tablespoon of fresh lemon zest, just juice in that 1 lemon, and just stir all that together. And we're going to let this sit for at least a half hour. So while our peaches are hanging out, getting some of the moisture out of them, we could roll out our pie shell. So this is my pie dough. If you didn't see my recipe for homemade pie crust, check it out. I'll put a link right here. I got 2 different ways to do it. It's a really great pie crust, and it works well for all pies. So we'll just take out our pie dough. It looks great, all those specks of butter. Let's get some flour down. A little bit on our dough, a little bit on our rolling pin, and we'll just start from the center and turn. Center and turn. You want to apply even pressure. You could rotate your pin instead of the entire dough. Again, from the center out. A little bit of cracking like that isn't a big deal. We could just patch that back together. As long as it's not cracking everywhere and falling apart, as some pie crust recipes tend to do. Just make sure we're not sticking. If we roll it out and then we're sticking to our surface, just going to break the dough. Ideally, you want at least an inch or 2 completely around your pie dish. So we'll just put this on here. It's pretty good. Roll that a little bit more. And just take your time. You don't want to rush. We'll put our rolling pin towards one end, and we'll use the rolling pin, pick up our pie crust, and just roll our pie shell over our plate. That way's a lot better than just picking it up and, then you might tear it. Bad things could happen. So just gently roll it onto your rolling pin and place it over. This way when we add our filling, nothing breaks. We'll just trim off any excess. Okay, that looks good. It's always better to have a little more than less, because we're going to add a lattice, we're going to add our filling. So you want to have a little more dough to work with than trying to stretch it. So we'll put this in the fridge, let this get completely cool. Any pie dough scraps you have, we could add them to our other piece when we roll out for the lattice, or if we don't need them at all, I like to take these, season them up with a little bit of sugar, maybe some cinnamon, some allspice, bake them in the oven with the pie. They make for great little treats if you're having with coffee or tea or just a snack on, really good. So don't throw this out. Work hard to make the pie dough. We don't want to just throw out any scraps. So our pie shell's ready, got it cooled in the fridge. Our peaches have been hanging out for about 45 minutes. Work surface is all messy, covered in flour. That's okay though, because we still got to roll out our lattice top. I'm going to take these peaches. I'm going to show you what I like to do with the juice. So I got a strainer here over a bowl, and we're just going to strain out the juice. You can see all that juice. And all that juice in the pie is, you're just going to have a messy pie. It's going to be a big mess when you cut into it. We don't want that. So we'll add all these to our strainer. Make sure we get all that juice, all that flavor. We don't want to break our peaches, but just push some of it out. And we have all this juice now. So what I like to do is just add it to a saucepan, and we're just going to reduce this down to a nice syrup consistency. So to this mixture, I like to add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Give that a nice whisk, and we'll let that reduce down. So our syrup's reduced down, and this is what we're looking for. It's nice and thickened up. We can finish adding the rest of our ingredients to our peaches. So we got our peaches back here. And I added a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, thicken everything up as you could see. 2 teaspoons of some good vanilla, and then a 1/4 teaspoon each of ground cinnamon and ground cardamom. The cardamom goes really well with these peaches. And it's not enough to overpower the flavor of the peaches. It's just enough where someone eats it and they say, wow, what is that? That really tastes great. What's in this? So now we'll bring back our pie shell. And we'll just add these peaches right in. I want to sort of push everything down so there's no gaps. So I have my oven preheating to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius. A tablespoon of butter here cut into small cubes. And we'll just dot around the pie with that. Another little trick you could do is after you cut your peaches, maybe you're not sure if you have enough to fill your pie dish. Just take the peaches before you season them, before you extract the juice and everything. Right after they're cut, just put them in the pie dish and make sure that's enough peaches. Because it's very frustrating if you cut all your fruit, whatever your filling is, add it to your pie and it's just like not filled up and then you don't have enough fruit and then it's very, very frustrating. So we got the butter and now we'll go back with that beautiful syrup and right over the top. Pretty gorgeous right there. All right, now let's put this back in the fridge, roll out our lattice. We're ready to bake this off. We have our other portion of pie crust here. Now we'll make our top. Same deal as before. Good amount of flour from the center and just start rolling it out. It helps to have your pie crust sit for just a couple of minutes, depending how hot your kitchen is. Come to room temperature. If it's completely ice cold and you start rolling it, it'll start cracking all over the place. You want to get at least 10 strips here for the lattice. Okay, this should be good. As long as the longest piece is longer than your pie shell, you're good to go. So I have this little pasta crimper here. Gives it a nice look. You could just use a knife. You could use a pizza roller. About that thickness. You don't have to go crazy having everything the exact width. I want this to look a little rustic. So now we can bring back our pie. So just take your longest piece right in the center. These are plenty long. And we're going to lay down 5, leaving plenty of room so we could see all that nice peach filling. Again, make sure you have a long piece for the center. So we have our 5 lattice pieces. Now, every other piece, we're just going to lift back to the center and lay a piece perpendicular to that. So for instance, have these 2 pieces, gently lift them to the center and place a lattice and then cover. And we'll do the same thing with our other 3 pieces and like so. You don't want to completely cover everything. We want to see some of that fruit. So now we'll do the same thing on the other side. Pull back every other piece, 3 pieces. Lay our lattice and cover. I used to think this was so incredibly complicated, but it's really not. It's really easy. And one more piece. So now we'll just take any excess. And now just take your lattice on the ends and tuck them under your pie shell. You could just crimp the edges here. Just take 2 fingers with one hand and with your other hand, just push the dough. You could use a fork as well. Now last step, I have an egg beaten with a tablespoon of cream, and we want to brush this. This is like really important step. We just put this in the oven. It's not going to look as beautiful as it should. Have to egg wash it. All right, that's all covered. Egg wash, and now, I promise, last step, turbinado sugar. Sprinkled all over that crust. White sugar works as well, cane sugar, cinnamon sugar. I really like the turbinado sugar. The nice big crystals of sugar. All right, now into the oven. I'm going to put this in for a half hour and then I'm going to check on it. Also, in case our pie bubbles over, put a sheet tray underneath so you don't have a mess on your oven. All right, it's been about 25 minutes and we're starting to get some color around our crust. So if we let this go, the inside of our shell is not cooked yet, so this is just going to burn. So to prevent that, we want to tent our pie. Just take a long strip of foil here, fold it over, and just wrap the pie. Cover that outside crust so everything else will cook, brown, and the outside of our pie will not burn. just like this, just so everything's covered. So I'll put this back in the oven. All right, so our pie's been baking in the oven just over an hour total cooking time. Just take it out and give you a look at it. Looks good right there. Smells fantastic. You see we got some nice bubbling. Gotta let this cool at least an hour. Let all those juices thicken up. Let the pie set. We don't just want to cut into it. That's what you're looking for, that nice bubbling. I took the extra lattice, just egg washed them a bit, sprinkled them with turbinado sugar, rolled them up. It's a good little treat if you have some extra lattice. Also, extra pie dough that I had, rolled it up, put it in my freezer. When I'm ready to use it, I'll just take it out, put it in the fridge, let it defrost, and I have like a, that's good to use if I'm making mini pies or individual pies, so make sure you always keep any extras. So leave this alone, minimum of an hour. All right, we let this guy rest an hour. Smells fantastic. Love that cardamom. Give that cardamom a try with any peach recipe. Really goes well with peaches. That is a nice slice of peach pie right there. And then with that peach pie, nice scoop of vanilla. There it is right there. Make this peach pie. It is really delicious. Follow the pie crust recipe, like the video, subscribe. See you next time.